Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop and another Sunday video. Subject of today's video is these three beautiful planes here. First of all is this one that was given to me on Friday at the hewing day, centering the past hewing day or the taster day, and it's a lovely twin iron combined moulding and rebate sash plane. It has dovetailed boxings that have been added, although somehow they're not quite right for the shape of the mouth. I don't think. I need to do a bit more thought on that one. Yeah, I've given them a quick tart up. Unfortunately, these irons have been sharpened using the Charlesworth ruler trick, so they almost are double beveled. So that needs rectification, but it is sharp for now. This plane here was given to me by another subscriber on Saturday. This was given to me by Steve. It is a wonderful 18th century 28-inch jointer. It is slightly worn on one side in that it does tip over slightly, but it's a lovely plane. You can see the tote is set to one side. It has had a slight skim off this one side, I think, looking at the radius, but not much. And it has a lovely single iron by Thomas Allen. I'll put a photo in of that iron somewhere here. Now, the other plane, which is on loan from Steve, for me to try and work out what it is and what it was for, is this colossal plough plane. I know Steve put a question in a group about it recently, about the British plane making group on Facebook. It is a monster of a plane. It does just about take a full length standard iron, although I've just dropped a number 8 square ended iron in, and this little tang dropped right to the hole before it projected past. So I do think it would have had its own irons back in the day. Well, you know, it is though a lovely plane. It has a really deep skate. My only sort of main concern is these wedges seem a little bit slack, but we'll try that as we go on with it. Again, got quite a bit of age to it. You know, it's a nice plane. If anybody's come across another one of these big ploughs like this and knows what the true usage is, please drop it in the comments, because I know Steve would love to know what they were doing with it. It has a brass capping on the fence, which I think is added, has been added later. It also has a depth stop that's been added later, which is just a piece of timber which has been screwed to the side just beyond the plough. But yeah, it's a monster of a plane. So we're going to start with the sash plane, with the sash show. I have just sort of sharpened it briefly just to get it going. I'm actually planing against the grain on this horrible piece of pitch pine. This is modern pitch pine, which doesn't really resemble the original species of pitch pine. Which is why I don't use it very often, because it doesn't really replicate. you get the gist. That is, and the minute it's very rough. So that's taking both rebouts. Interestingly though, it's a very similar moulding to the moulding that I'm using with the standalone irons for the windows that I am making the restoration windows that I'm making the videos on. So yeah, I want to get that plane tuned up properly so that it's not blocking, because part of the problem with that plane is the mouths have been reworked, and because the mouths have been reworked, it's now not, it takes too big of a chip. No matter where you set it, the chip is too large for the mouth size, and that, especially like there where you're going against the grain slightly, it's tearing, it's ripping. So that plane does need a bit of fettling just to get it back right. And once it is right, that's going to be a really nice plane to use. It's just been, as I say, tweaked by a user, not very well. So I do need to look at that in more detail. But it is going to be a nice plane. So let's look at this big jointer. And I got a piece of Canadian red pine here. Again, I'm going against the grain because that's the way I need to set it up. It's set quite harsh because, again, I need to tweak this plane. The bottom of the sole's not flat. So to get it to take a shaving, at the moment I need to have quite a bit of projection because the plane itself is just ever so slightly curved. So I need to look at that, but that's taking a shaving now. So it's okay, it will be, it's really, other than a quick sharpen, that plane is very much in as found condition. So I will one day get it fiddled with and get it back right. But I'm busy at the moment trying to get set up for next week's sash restoration course, which starts on Monday. I'm actually filming this on Friday, so it'll come to you on Sunday. So I've got a showing sheet tomorrow at Kenilworth Agricultural Show. So I've got today, what's left of today, and I've got all of Sunday, apart from when we're doing some sheet work, to actually get the workshop ship shape. So hence I've not fully tuned these yet, and I mean you can see it rocking on the bench from the wear that's in it, and it does sit slightly to one side. I need to sort of work out where it's wrong, what's wrong, same as I do with the sash plane. But bearing in mind that this is a plane that was made before 1800, certainly. So, you know, I would fully expect it's had a hard working life, and you can see it's had a hard working life. I would fully expect a plane like this would be rough and need work, and I will eventually, it will get it. For now, this is just a quick, you know, thank you to the guys that have given and lent me these planes. I will use them in more depth later on. So I've got one of my longest irons in this plane. And I've got it set quite coarse because it is a curved based iron. And again, a plough is not a super fine finishing tool. The plough is a hard working tool. that's designed for removing waste as fast as possible. And I've got to be a little bit careful there because of the screws, but it's just whopped a big groove out with a round bottoming, or rounder bottoming, because the iron I have in it is a rounded iron, but it's one of the longest irons that I own, so I need it to be rounded. Or I don't need it to be rounded, but it's one of the longest irons that I own, so I needed it, that particular iron, just to get it to work. So yeah, anybody who's got any thoughts on this, please drop them in the comments below. That would be amazing. And the other two you'll see from time to time now on the channel as I get them tuned up and get them working. You know, this one does need a bit of tuning because actually I'm not sure, as it hasn't been. I think maybe we can shed some light on this if I can find a square quickly. I think possibly what's happened with this plane, yeah, so that plane is dead square to that face. So what I think's happened is the reason they've skimmed this face off is that they've skimmed the sole off. Yeah, it's not totally square to the body. It's not bad though. No, it is square to the body, both sides just about. So I think what's happened is they've skimmed the sole that many times and they've just had to redress it to this side because it is fairly square to this side. So yeah, I think it's the top edge that's not straight. Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like that before. If you look at the profile of the end of this plane, it definitely looks like it leans this way. It feels like it leans this way as you use it, but it doesn't. It's dead. The sole is dead square to these two sides. So other than actually now just getting it straight again, I don't think I'm going to do a lot with that, other than tune the iron a bit more and just, yeah, just fiddle with it a bit more like that. The plough, I've got until Steve needs it back, wants it back. I will endeavour to find a longer set of irons for him as I'm out and about. It's something I would like to get a bit of time under my belt with using it and just try and see if I can work out what they were doing with it. It's a colossal thing and I really don't know what they were doing with it, but let's have a look just how long it actually is. So yeah, that's 17 inches. Yeah, 17 inches on the wooden body and 18 inches nearly on the actual plough skate. So I don't know what they were doing. And the rods are, yeah, the rods are nearly 17 inches, 16.5 inches long as well. So that's a big plane. That's a big plough. I've never quite seen anything quite like it before, and I don't think Steve had either, which is why it's ended up with me being trialled. Yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely plane. Can't wait to get a few hours on that. And this one, again, as you can see, it's pushing the chip out the side here, which is, it's then damaging this face here, as it's so that chip there is damaging the face of the rebate here. So I need to look at that and work out what's going on with that plane, because it's not ejecting to the side correctly. But as I say, it's had this piece here added and that doesn't line up with the original mouth opening. I think somebody's tried to close the mouth and it may not necessarily be a wise idea. But if you notice, it's very tight in here, or it's not very tight, but it's tighter in here than it is here. And that doesn't line up with the original line of the original plane. So I do need to look at that. It's got quite a thick iron on this side, very thick iron on this side. And this iron is fairly thick, but not as thick as that side. But interestingly, this has all been relieved here to the bed where the iron sits. So this plane needs some attention. It needs some love, and try and work out what's going on with that. But again, no maker's mark, lovely plane, got some age to it. I think it did have a maker's mark, but I think actually the nose of the plane has either been sawn or sanded off. It probably sanded off looking at that, because you just about see the maker's mark here. But there's absolutely no numbers on it at all. No sizes, no guides as to what it was. So perhaps had a heavy restoration in its life, or it's had a very hard and heavy working life. So some of you may have noticed this week in the those of you who are regular viewers will have noticed a few new things popping up around the channel. I hit 3,000 watch hours on Monday, I think, or Sunday, and YouTube offered me the chance to be a YouTube partner. So I accepted. At this stage, because I need a few more, I need to hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours before I can take the full ad revenue. But at the moment, it stands that I now have the ability to take memberships. I have taken them up on that, not because I want to take money off you guys at all, because I will continue to produce free content. That's never been my objective, was to get to a stage like this where I ran a pay-per-view channel, or I made you go via my website to watch videos. That's never been the case. However, if you guys want to see better quality videos, better quality audio, more sort of teaching time on camera, unfortunately, YouTube has got to start to pay its way. I very much run a business. I make my living with my craft, and the whole point of sort of going down the YouTube route was to teach my craft to people, but try and earn a little bit of money that way also. Not looking to be a millionaire, because I'll never be a millionaire, but actually to spend more time in the workshop is my end goal. Be that teaching my own courses, or be that making videos for YouTube on what I'm doing on my day-to-day work. Either which way, I'm not worried. As long as I can be on farm more and in the workshop more, that's the main sort of objective. Wife and I are now running what is effectively a large small holding here now. Her parents, what's left of her parents' farm, and I need to be here more. Is the simple answer, and that's what the YouTube was all about. Also, to offer a certain, the service I'm offering is, teaching or sharing and showing things as part of that. So I've set the membership quite low. I think it's $3.99, but it's all in American dollars, so I don't know what that works out pounds sterling. And I don't know what the time frame is, because when you set it, YouTube doesn't tell you what you set it at. I'm not sure whether it's a month or a year or what that is, but the figure was $3.99, which is one of the lower end figures. What will you get for that? Well, I am going to start and do, as the membership builds, those videos. I'm going to do some separate videos for the membership, and they will be members only for the first 3 to 6 months of those videos. And as the membership grows, those videos will become more in depth, more detailed. And I'm going to sound like a terrible sellout now, because it's not not really the way I wanted to take the channel. But I am going to offer just maybe 2 videos a month like that as separate instructional videos, members only, that will eventually go live 3 to 6 months later on the main channel. I'm also offering members a 10% discount on my training courses that I offer in the workshop. So that'll be the workshop ones, not so much the ones out on site like the weekend, simply because the venues cost me money and etc. So it's not always possible to offer a big discount. You know, I'm a fairly small business, and sometimes the course fees are literally only just about wiping their face over the top of the venue costs, the toilet hire, the food, and then, like over the weekend when I had other instructors, you know, there won't be a lot left for me as it is. If I then lose 10% on ticket fees as well, there's even less left for me. But I'm not doing a huge amount of those types of courses. Most of my courses are going to be in the workshop. So yeah, keep liking and subscribing, guys. Keep sharing the videos if you can, and sort of the more we drive it, the more we'll see, you know, the quicker we'll see the ad revenue, which we'll see that it will see the videos improve, because the sort of any money I make through YouTube is going to get plowed back into equipment for making YouTube videos. I'm in talks with a good friend of mine, Helen, who recorded the footage on the last video, about her coming and doing some more with me, but obviously she needs to be paid for her time. So yeah, it's not going to come cheap. So yeah, that's it. So as I say, on Monday I'm starting my sash window restoration course, which is a 5-day course. I've got one candidate coming from California, and another gentleman signed up 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure where he's coming from, and there may be a third candidate who is coming down from Scotland. If anybody's interested in joining that course, there are tickets still available, and you need to be able to get to Warwickshire for Monday. There is some accommodation available on an arranged basis with one of the other candidates who's hired an Airbnb local, a chalet local. But yeah, exciting times. Like I say, I'm not sure quite where we're going with it just yet, but I can't believe it's building as fast as it is. And thank you so much to all of you guys for your support and for the fantastic comments that you make. Thank you all for everybody that turned out at the weekend. You know, it's fantastic to see such a project as that coming to fruition like it did. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled, guys, because the next video is coming and it's going to be a fantastic video. Hopefully next week I will have a little bit of stuff to put out on the actual sash course. Obviously I need to check with the candidates first that they're okay with that. I hope there'll be a little bit of that teaching going on. And then from there I've got some very interesting stuff. The curved work video has sort of left me thinking, and I'm going to try and do a little bit more on the Preston and the Stanley, and I've got a Matheson 1 or 2 as well, and 1 or 2 wooden ones, but on the more specialist planes for circular work and straight work. So I want to go into detail about those planes as well, and then we'll start to look at some of the really big molding planes and the various sash planes and that sort of thing. So thank you as always. Thank you all for watching. If you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. And I will see you all on the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.